A 71-year-old woman in Ohio sat at her kitchen table on a Wednesday morning, waiting for a deposit that never came. No alert, no letter, no heads up of any kind, just an empty balance where her federal benefit should have landed. She hadn't missed a deadline. She hadn't triggered any red flag. What she missed, and what millions of retirees are still missing right now in 2026 was one routine update that quietly became mandatory. And most people only discover something went wrong after the damage is already baked in. Give me the next few minutes of your time, because by the end of this, you'll understand exactly what's shifting with direct deposit this year, why certain seniors are getting blindsided, and the specific actions that keep your money arriving on schedule and away from people who have no business touching it. I'm Lana Maines. I represent taxpayers directly in front of the IRS. Before we get into the details, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so this kind of information reaches you going forward. Today's topic is the direct deposit overhaul that could delay or block your federal payment this June. And this is precisely the kind of thing I monitor professionally, so you don't have to. What's actually happening in June 2026? As of June 2026, paper checks for federal payments are done. If your benefit still arrives by mail, it stops. No substitute check gets sent. No automatic conversion happens behind the scenes. The funds simply don't arrive. Government data shows fewer than 1% of beneficiaries still receive paper checks today, which means the vast majority of you watching have already made the switch to electronic deposit. But here's what most people miss: switching over and doing it correctly, through the proper channel with verified up-to-date account details, are two entirely different things. That gap is where three separate changes are now colliding, all converging before the end of June and all hitting your payment directly. Change 1. The enrollment deadline that sounds routine, but isn't. The first shift sounds purely administrative, and that's exactly why it carries the most immediate danger. Consider Patricia, Dar, 71, a retired home health aide in Columbus, Ohio. She received the same paper check at the same address for 11 straight years. When the transition to electronic deposit happened 3 years ago, she assumed the new setup was still active and current. It wasn't. The bank she'd originally linked had been absorbed in a merger, and that account no longer existed. Patricia made no error. The payment simply didn't show up in June. For decades, the federal payment system ran on paper. Checks were printed, stuffed, and mailed, slow, expensive, and by the government's own published figures, 16 times more likely than electronic deposits to be lost, stolen, or fraudulently redirected. That's not a debated number. It's the documented rationale behind this entire transition. The government has been pushing beneficiaries toward direct deposit for years. What changes in June is the finality. The paper infrastructure is being shut down. The target isn't fewer paper checks, it's zero, eliminated. And for the small fraction still relying on them, that cutoff isn't a suggestion. Here's what both groups need to hear. For the retiree whose monthly budget depends entirely on that deposit hitting on time, electronic payment is genuinely more dependable, more traceable, and more secure than the paper system it's replacing. For the comfortable senior who kept paper as a backup, this deadline wipes that option off the board entirely. Confirming your enrollment now, before June, is the only way to sidestep a missed payment. The trap people fall into is this: assuming that because your payment has been arriving electronically, your enrollment is locked in and accurate. Bank mergers, closed accounts, routing number changes. Any of these can sever the link in the system without triggering a notification. You won't know the enrollment has broken until the day your money doesn't arrive. And that leads straight into the second change, because the enrollment confirmation process itself has become the primary target for fraud. Change 2. Banking verification becomes the danger zone. The tightening of verification requirements around this transition is where the real threat sits right now. No agency is going to warn you about this. The official process asks seniors to confirm their routing number, account number, and identity through a verified channel. That requirement itself isn't new. What's new is that scammers have reverse engineered this process in painstaking detail and are now mirroring it step by step. Here's the playbook. a retiree picks up the phone. The person on the other end claims to be from the agency handling the payments. They explain that because of the June 2026 system change, account information needs to be re-verified to prevent any interruption in deposits. The caller already has the senior's name. Sometimes they even have the last 4 digits of the account number. They sound authoritative. They sound urgent. Then they ask for the full routing number, the complete account number, or a one-time verification code that was just sent to the senior's phone. Stop for a second. Open your banking app or pull out a current statement. Not one from last month, the actual live account with the routing number right there. Look at it. Because what I'm about to say about who is permitted to request that number is the single most important point in this entire video. A legitimate federal payment agency will communicate with you by mail when it comes to account verification. Not by phone, not by text, not by email. The phone is where the fraud operates. If someone calls you asking to confirm banking details to keep your payment from being disrupted, that person is not the agency. That's the mechanism, plain and simple. The verification rule comes down to one sentence. You initiate the contact, they don't. Any outbound call or message asking you to verify financial information is not the agency. They will never call you to request it. The 4 Ps, the scam pattern. Every senior should recognize the Social Security Administration's own fraud. Investigators have flagged a sequence they encounter over and over. They call it the 4 Ps: pretend, problem, pressure, payment. First, the scammer pretends to be someone official. Then they introduce a problem, a suspended benefit, a flagged account, an urgent review. Once they have your focus, they crank up the pressure with a deadline, almost always within 24 to 48 hours. And then comes the payment request, your routing number, account number, social security number, or a verification code. Every single version of this scam follows that arc. Every one. If you find yourself in a conversation that moves through those 4 beats, you are not talking to the government. Hang up. A resource. Before we continue. The exemptions, the deductions, the refunds. Most retirees already qualify for these but never claim them. I've gathered everyone into a single guide, organized state by state and form by form, so you're not spending hours lost in government websites. It's all broken down simply so any senior can identify what applies to them. Regardless of where you live, there's money you're walking away from. It's called the Senior Exemption Playbook, and it's in the first pinned comment directly below this video. One tap and it's yours. Now stay right here, because the third change is the one that opens the most dangerous window of all, and it's the reason I recorded this entire video. Change 3. The payment schedule shift. Nobody's been warned about. This is the change that almost no one has been clearly told about, and it's the most dangerous of the 3. Not because of what it does to your payment, but because of the opportunity it creates for someone else to act against your payment. Under the old paper system, your payment date was fixed. The same day, month after month, year after year. Retirees built their entire financial rhythm around that date. Rent, utilities, prescriptions, everything timed to when that check landed. Under the fully electronic system, the disbursement calendar is being restructured. Some seniors will see their deposit land on a different day than the one they've relied on for years, not because the payment was missed, not because something went wrong, simply because electronic processing follows a different calendar than paper distribution ever did. Here's why this matters more than the first 2 changes put together. That window of confusion, those 2 or 3 days when the money hasn't arrived yet and the retiree doesn't know why, is the highest value moment in the entire fraud calendar. Scammers know this gap exists. They deliberately call into it. The senior is already on edge. The caller offers a solution. The trap snaps shut. The system that used to give people, banks, and fraud monitors time to catch anomalies before real damage occurred, that buffer has shrunk. Processing time on account changes has been compressed significantly. Updates that once took 30 days can now go through in as little as 1 business day. That speed works in your favor when you need a legitimate correction made quickly. But it also means a fraudulent redirect can take effect just as fast. The window for catching an error after the fact is narrower than it has ever been. You will not receive any official communication about this window, so here's exactly what to do about it: your protection protocol. Before June, Step 1, confirm your enrollment status. Go directly to the official government benefits portal. Don't click a link from a text or email. Search the program name alongside official enrollment verification and confirm that your current account information is on file and correct. Step 2, verify your routing and account numbers are current. If you've switched banks in the last 18 months, log in, confirm both numbers, and update them only through the official portal. Step 3, find your new payment date. The restructured schedule could shift your deposit by 1 to 3 business days. Pull the updated date from the official disbursement calendar, not from a caller, not from a text. Write it down and set a calendar reminder. Step 4, build a 3-day rule. If your payment hasn't arrived by the expected date, wait 3 full business days before acting. Most delays in the new system resolve within that window. Taking action inside that window is precisely when the fraud finds you. Step 5. If you need to call, use only the number printed on your official benefit card or on documentation you already possess. Not a number a caller gave you. Not a number from a search result that could be spoofed. The number you already have. It's also worth creating a personal online account directly through the official Social Security website if you haven't done that yet. Once that account exists, any attempt to modify your address or direct deposit details triggers an automatic alert to you. So if someone tries to redirect your payment, you find out almost immediately instead of discovering it weeks later when the deposit simply doesn't appear. It also makes it significantly harder for someone to open a fraudulent account in your name because that slot is already occupied by you. If setting up the online account feels intimidating, ask a trusted family member to sit with you for 15 or 20 minutes and help you get through it. Once it's done, it runs quietly in the background and protects you without any further effort on your part. Get into the rhythm of checking your bank account around the time your payment is due each month. Most retirees have a general sense of which day the deposit lands. If that day passes and the money isn't there, don't assume it's a minor delay and sit silently for days. Call your bank first to rule out an issue on their side. If your bank confirms nothing came through, reach the agency directly using a number you locate yourself on the official government website. The earlier a missing payment gets reported, the simpler it usually is to track down and resolve. One more thing worth stating plainly. Scammers rely on isolation. They want you making decisions alone, under pressure, with no one to consult. If you have a family member or trusted person who helps with bills or paperwork, tell them which bank receives your payment and agree together that if either of you ever gets a call claiming to be from a federal agency, you talk to each other before responding. That single habit strips away a major piece of the scammer's advantage before they ever get to use it. That's the full protocol. The retiree who checks their account on the 1st of June and doesn't see the deposit yet knows exactly what to expect, exactly how long to wait, and exactly what to do if something feels off. That's the difference between that morning becoming a crisis and it being nothing more than a Tuesday. None of this requires you to become a technology expert or to live in fear of every incoming call. It just asks for the same instinctive skepticism you'd apply if a stranger showed up at your front door asking for your house keys. You wouldn't hand those over just because the person sounded confident and carried a clipboard. Your routing number and your bank account deserve that same level of caution. Confirm the account. Know the date. Recognize the pattern. The system is changing, and the system is not going to protect you on its own.